What's up? What's good? It's your boy, aka your favorite host, Tommy Springfield, aka the king of all talk. And if you know, like I do all the time, I'm sorry, I'm a little lost over here, but you know, it's your boy, Tommy Springfield, aka the king of all talk.
There's only one, and that's me.
It's only one, and that's me. You know what I'm saying? So, as you can see with the title, and it's simple. Diddy ain't the only one freaking off. You feel what I'm saying? And that's just what it is. Let me get some things going over here. Let me see. So tonight we on some Vince McMahon shit. That's what we on. You know, like you could see the title. Diddy wasn't the only billionaire freaking off. So here we got Vince McMahon. He was the owner for many, many years of the WWE. Billionaire. He took it from his father and grew it to be worth billions of dollars. And then just recently, he merged with UFC, fighting Dana White and all the people over there. And they formed a multi-billion-dollar company called TKO. And they're a multi-billion-dollar company. But the point of all of this, he too, just like Diddy, has been accused of sex trafficking, but they ain't raided his house. He been accused, just like Diddy, of doing things to females, defecating on them and doing all type of shit, but they ain't put his kids in handcuffs. Actually, they've been keeping it quiet. You know why? Because you see some of them people behind me in that picture. Look at that. Look at those logos. TKA listed on the NASDAQ. You know what I'm saying? That's a publicly traded company. Diddy ain't got them billions. You feel me? Diddy ain't got that money. Vince McMahon alone by himself is worth like $3 or $4 billion. That team of men that he's up there, right there, represents multi-billions of dollars. Dana White got the UFC doing real good over there. But you know, the media everywhere, should I dare say white media, but media everywhere, even black media, Diddy this, Diddy that, like he was the only billionaire out here freaking off. So I figured, let's, read the case. Let's see what Vince McMahon was doing. You feel me? Let's see how he was freaking off, since they want to make it like Diddy was the only one out here freaking off. Let's see what Vince McMahon got going on. Did I do it right? Let's see. I'm saying, get your blunts, get your tea, get all the things you need. Cause this is we going to school tonight. We reading books. Okay, as y'all can see, I got my glasses on tonight. So I hope y'all can read this. I hope it's big enough for everybody. So like I said, meet Vince McMahon. This is a lawsuit against Vince McMahon in the World Wrestling Entertainment LLC. Vince K. McMahon and Johnny Unitas are the defendants. Plaintiff is Janelle Grant. By and through her undersigned counsel, hereby files these complaints against defendants World Wrestling Entertainment, also known World Wrestling Entertainment LLC, WWE, or the company, Vincent K. McMahon and John Laurinaitis, alleged as follows. Plaintiff Janelle Grant is a former employee of WWE who was a victim of physical and emotional abuse, sexual assault, and trafficking at the WWE. Ms. Grant is filing this lawsuit not just to address her own suffering, but also to act for those who are afraid to speak out. WWE's billionaire founder and executive chairman, defendant Vincent K. McMahon, lived in the penthouse duplex in Miss Grant's apartment building. The two met in March 2019 when Miss Grant was dealing with profound grief and struggling financially after devoting years to around-the-clock caregiving. Her parents passed away. On top of that, she was unemployed and her family home was lost in her parents' bankruptcy. Okay, so let's break that down so far. So, unless you've been under a rock for the last 50 years, Vince McMahon ran a company, WWE Wrestling Entertainment. Back in the day when you was a kid, it was called WWF. Had some stars like Hulk Hogan, The Rock, Stone Cold, Steve Austin, and many more. Andre the Giant. Had black stars like Coco Beware and Roman Reigns and them. Rock's cousin, Samoan families, has been running the top for a little while. Excuse me. So, this woman here is accusing Mr. Vince McMahon, the founder and CEO of WWE, man worth billions of dollars. He's accusing him. This was filed 1/25/24. So this is all around the Diddy stuff. But, we ain't talking about Diddy. So she's suing him. She's alleging victim of physical and emotional abuse, sexual assault, and trafficking at WWE. Mrs. Grant is filing this lawsuit not to just to address her own suffering, but also to act for those who are afraid to speak out. WWE's billionaire founder and executive chairman, defendant Vincent K. McMahon, lived in the penthouse duplex in Mrs. Grant apartment building. The two met in March 2019 when Miss Grant was dealing with profound grief and struggling financially after devoting years to around-the-clock caregiving. Her parents passed away. On top of that, she was unemployed and her family home was lost in her parents' bankruptcy. Okay. So here you got Miss Grant, pretty little young lady who lives in the building, and Vince McMahon is a billionaire, and she's going through these problems, and randomly they meet. Or was it randomly? I'm not on nobody's side here. I just have an open mind. After her family passed away, Mrs. Grant dedicated herself to finding gainful employment. Neighbors in her building provided career advice and sought her assistance with personal events. Mrs. Grant used the non-paying roles and voluntary work in the community incentives to build her resume. The building's residence manager wanted to help. She messaged McMahon to ask whether he could talk to her, sharing that Miss Grant had been through hardship and would do great things given a fresh start. McMahon enthusiastically responded, "Hell yes." So, as you can see, it's all in cap. So, they want us to believe that Vince McMahon was like, hell yeah, like he was ready to meet this young lady. McMahon befriended Miss Grant, giving her hopes of a new life with promise of yet to be determined role at WWE, and showering her with attention and assurances, along with gifts like VIP appearances at WrestleMania. But what seemed like a dream in the spring of 2019 quickly became a nightmare. So, let's follow. She met Mr. McMahon in March 2019. And she was doing bad. Her parents just passed away. She lost her crib. And she didn't have no job. Now, a couple lines later, she wanted us to believe by the spring of 2019, her life became a nightmare. So, she didn't have no home. She didn't have no job. She didn't have nothing. So, between March and then the spring, she had gifts, billionaire promising her stuff, and assurances, gifts like VIP experiences at WrestleMania, all of this, but her life was a nightmare. I, don't know her, but I'm pretty sure if you broke, homeless, and you got a billionaire showering you with gifts, paying you attention, I don't think your life was a nightmare. I think it was changed in the way that you really wanted it to be changed. But like I said, I'm on nobody's side. Let's continue to go. As McMahon dangled career-making and life-changing promises in front of Mrs. Grant, he demonstrated an increasing lack of boundaries during several meetings that were, obsessively about potential job at WWE. He greeted her in his underwear, touched her repeatedly, asked for hugs, and spent hours sharing intimate details about his personal life. McMahon was a little perv. He greeted her in underwear, touched her repeatedly, asked for hugs, spent hours sharing intimate details about his personal life. McMahon warned Miss Grant to keep their closeness secrets, lest rumors led to public trouble, and added that while he protects loyal people, he had world-class legal resources and speed dial to deal with people who become a problem. So she's saying instantly he started walking out in the drawers and doing hugs and sharing his personal life with her. Doesn't that sound familiar? Doesn't that sound what Little WASN Diddy was doing? Coming out in his drawers, sharing personal details. Allegedly, Diddy shot this person. Allegedly, he's saying Stevie J did this. Ain't this the same lawsuit? Ain't this filed the same way as McMahon dangled career-making and life-changing promises? Lil Rod said the same thing in his Diddy lawsuit that Diddy promised me a $20 million home. Diddy said, I'm going to give you a $20 million home. Even if he said that, you believe that. You believe you so good, you make these beats so good that you was going to get a $20 million. Or did Lil Rod think, I throw this ass back so good, I'm going to get me a $20 million mansion? I think that's the one that he thought. Because he didn't think, I make this music, Diddy gonna give me a $20 million mansion. You didn't do $20 million mansion work, kid. Diddy did his whole life to get that. But the point is, Diddy wasn't the only billionaire freaking off, but that's what they want you to believe. But McMahon warned Mrs. Grant that his closeness, secret, and less rumors led to public trouble, and added that while he protects loyal people, he had world-class legal resources on speed dial to deal with people who became a problem. That's the same thing Lil Rod said. As such, when McMahon pushed Miss Grant for a physical relationship in return for long promised employment at WWE, she felt trapped in an impossible situation, submitting to McMahon's sexual demands or facing ruin. Miss Grant feared she had everything to lose and faced negative consequences no matter what happened. After succumbing to the pressure for a physical relationship, Miss Grant was allowed into an entry-level position as an administrative coordinator, a position Miss McMahon created for her in WWE's legal department. So, please, baby, please work for me. I'll give you this job at the WWE. I'll do this. I'll do that. I'm just gonna give in. Now remember, we gotta go back. She was broke. Her parents had passed away. The crib was gone in bankruptcy. She had nothing. And had this billionaire promising her stuff, and she knew. This lady grown, so you didn't know this billionaire was promising you things. You ain't got nothing. All of a sudden, you got things, and you ain't have to do nothing for that. What woman in the world thought she didn't have to do nothing for that? He created a job. You knew the job was fake. You knew the real job. The real job was be ready when he ready. Come on, people. You know, nobody's side. I'm just reading the case and looking how it's leaning. She was taking stuff. Yeah, she wording it now the same thing like Little Rod did. Like, oh, I felt. No, you felt your life was changing for the better. You good. But, like she said, after succumbing to the pressure for a physical relationship, Miss Grant was slotted into an entry-level position as an administrative coordinator. A position McMahon created for her in WWE's legal department. Miss Grant began work in the role on June 17, 2019. Miss Grant remained in that role with the exception of a temporary relocation to XXL, Extreme Football League, until McMahon verbally directed her to transfer to the Talent Relations Department. Report to defendant John Laurinaitis on March 9, 2021. During a conversation the same day, McMahon explained that her presence in the legal department was effectively delaying efforts to hire new general counsel for the company. So, Mr. Bashir had the same job for a while. It did come to 2 years later, he switched her to she went over there, worked for Extreme Football. Then he switched her to the Talent Relations Department, and then told her, "Yo, you holding up plans. I need to hire other people." Basically, he ready to get rid of her. McMahon and Laurinaitis informed Miss Grant that she would be promoted to vice president of operations in the Talent Relations Department, providing her with an organizational chart reflecting this decision. Shortly therefore, they informed her that they need her to begin at a lower level as a director, but promised her promotion to vice president after a 12-month period. Despite Mrs. Grant's expressions of unhappiness and attempts to end the sexual relationship, while she came to understand that McMahon expected the physical relationship to continue as part of her employment, she had no idea how surreal it would become, nor how the psychological torture and physical violence would leave her feeling helpless, isolated, and trapped. In March 2020, McMahon began sharing sexually explicit photographs and videos of Miss Grant, including pornographic content he recorded with other men, both inside and outside the company, including with members of the telephone production tech team. So now she claiming this dude is, filming her and sharing the pages. But if you don't really want to be with the dude, you know what I'm saying? I get giving into his demands to have sex because you want to keep all the nice things, right? You living in a nice house and things is good. You want to keep all that. So I get giving into sex, but if you didn't want to be with him, why would you let him film in photo? You could have been like, yo, I'm sleeping with you. That's good. I'm fondling your little old wrinkly balls. I'm doing it all, and that's it. But she was letting them film because she was into that. Not saying that I want to see the porn, but I would love to see her face and expressions, and was it feeling good, or was she laying there on some like you can clearly tell she was faking it. Like, I would love to see the videos. But anyway, so he started sharing the videos with producers and world-class and world-famous athlete and former UFC heavyweight champion with whom WWE has actively trying to sign to a new contract, and ultimately did sign that contract. So here, everybody assumes she's alluring to Brock Lesnar. Brock Lesnar had a good run in WWE. Been the big focal point for the last few years, and he was, as you can see, UFC heavyweight champion. Given McMahon's omnipotent position at WWE, Coercion corrosion, you know what I mean, was inherent in his increasingly deprived sexual demands. Specifically, while McMahon was CEO of WWE and Miss Grant was employed as an entry-level coordinator in the legal department, McMahon recruited individuals to have sexual relations with Miss Grant and or with two of them, directed Miss Grant to visit defendant Laurinaitis prior to the start of workdays for sexual encounters, and expected and directed Miss Grant to engage in sexual activity at the WWE headquarters even during working hours. So just like Diddy, Lil Rod was saying he was being passed off and he was being groomed, and Diddy gave him the Cuba Gooding and all of this. These lawsuits are basically the same. I'm done with that coffee. These lawsuits are basically the same from the beginning to all the way where I'm at. They're reading exactly the same. This must be like the handbook that somebody did me something to me that I didn't want to, and now I want to check. So let's keep on moving. Just like Diddy, she claiming McMahon was passing her off to her boys, telling her what to do. All this time, McMahon ordered Mr. Grant to keep their relation secret unless otherwise instructed, including lying to maintain whatever cover stories he fabricated. McMahon assures us that Miss Grant was safe and independent, rang hollow in light of his efforts to isolate her from friends and attempts to chip away at her identity until it was replaced with his desired role for her as his bitch, his fantasy, and or his porn star, while occasionally intermixed in softer descriptions like girlfriend and baby, even love when convenient. He exercised complete ownership and control over both her personal and professional life. McMahon also subject Miss Grant to acts of extreme cruelty and degradation that caused Miss Grant to disassociate and or become numb to reality in order to survive the horrific encounters. As one example of McMahon's extreme depravity, on May 9th, 1920, he defecated on Miss Grant during a threesome. Yes, you heard it. He took a number 2 on her during a threesome and then commanded her to continue pleasuring his friend with feces in her hair and running down her back. Do you hear that? As one example of McMahon's extreme. On May 9th, 2020, he defecated on Miss Grant during a threesome and then commanded her to continue pleasuring his friend with feces in her hair and running down her back while McMahon went to the bathroom. Listen, this man is being accused of sex trafficking and passing the girls around and doing number 2s on them. They ain't raid his house. His kids wasn't in handcuffs. He got way more money than Diddy, and his money is cash. He don't got no more stock. He damn near sold it all. His money is cash. His billions is cash. Why they ain't raid his house? Why his kids ain't in cuffs? Because Diddy ain't got them friends. Diddy ain't on Wall Street, public traded, standing there with billions and billions and billions in the room. But yeah, so he took a number 2 on the girl and then told her to keep going with his girl. She had number 2 in her hair, running down her back while McMahon went to the bathroom to shower off. Upon his return from the bathroom, McMahon and his friend actively resumed the threesome, which lasted over an hour and a half while Miss Grant remained covered in McMahon's filth. When McMahon's friend left, McMahon ordered her to stay and to continue to sexually gratify him. So she's saying these my efforts was going an hour and a half. Longer than that, because up here he did the number 2 on her, and then she said upon him taking the shower, they resumed the threesome, which lasted over an hour and a half, while Miss Grant remained covered in McMahon's filth. When McMahon's friend left, McMahon ordered her to stay and continue. So, for an hour and a half, whoever the friend was, female or guy, banged them out again. And then, when the person left, he kept going. Wow, makes Mr. McMahon get it in. Or she wants you to believe, like, I don't know, you know, they say he work out a lot, he's healthy, but do you believe a 70, 80-year-old man is blowing backs out? Because that's what she's saying. He was blowing her back out. Yeah. See, you got to listen to how people describe stuff. He's blowing her back out. They going for hours, and I don't know who the friend is, male or female, but anyway. In June 2021, McMahon and defendant Laurinaitis sexually assaulted Miss Grant. See, if you pay attention, all these up here, she didn't use the term sexually assaulted. So I guess she's trying to say this is when they got turned up. In June 2021, McMahon and defendant Laurinaitis sexually assaulted Miss Grant inside Laurinaitis' office in WW headquarters while colleagues were busy at their desks. Behind a locked door, the two men cornered her and pulled her in between them, forcibly touched her before ultimately putting her on top of the table in between them. She begged them to stop, but they forced themselves on her, each taking turns restraining her for the other while saying no means yes and take it be. So she's saying in the crowded office at work, they did all this, threw her on the table, she's screaming, no, no, no. Let me go back and read, because maybe maybe she said nobody else was there. In June 21st, McMahon and defendant Laurinaitis sexually assaulted Miss Grant inside Laurinaitis' office in the WW headquarters while colleagues was busy at their desks. Behind a locked door, the two men cornered her and pulled her in between, forcefully touched her before ultimately putting her on top of the table in between them. She begged them to stop but forced themselves on her, each taking turns restraining her for the other while saying no means yes and take it be. So these dudes is got you, roughing you up, saying yes, yes, take it be, yes, yes. Wow, colleagues were busy at their desks. Nobody heard this. And if they did, not one person randomly anonymously called 911 and say, yo, this lady in here being sexually assaulted? Does that sound real? Like if she said it was a Saturday and nobody was there, wow, colleagues was busy at their desk? Was she begging like this? Please, no. And was they sexually assaulting her like this? Yes, take it be. But was this like a silent rape? Is this a silent sexual assault? Gotta watch the words I say on YouTube. Unsurprisingly, others at WWE knew what was going on, but instead of intervening to protect Miss Grant, WWE actively sought to conceal the wrongdoing. In January of 2022, McMahon told Miss Grant that his wife had found out about their relationship, purportedly to avoid divorce. Negatively, publicly, and other repercussions. McMahon said that Miss Grant's time at WWE was at But he wanted I wanted her to sign an NDA to ensure her silence on, among things, his personal misconduct. Days ahead, McMahon put Miss Grant under immense pressure to sign, saying that refusing would not only jeopardize McMahon and his family and the company, but that she surely become a public headline, suffering reputational ruin, including from the pornographic content McMahon had captured, to face McMahon's legal resources. Conversationally, McMahon reassured her that her signature would ensure his continued support and protection and safeguard her reputation. Ultimately, Miss Grant succumbed to the pressure and signed the NDA in exchange for payments, which McMahon later stopped making. So you see, these billionaires, they get these girls, they get caught by their wives, they say, whoa. Well, McMahon done it backwards. He should have had the NDA as soon as he started sleeping with her. That should be mandatory. I'm cheating on my wife. I need an NDA before we even get it popping. But even after pushing Miss Grant out the company and muzzling her with an NDA, which they say Puffy made people sign too, all these cases are exactly the same. But like I said, they ain't raid Mr. McMahon's cribs. This man got private jets. He fly over the world. Ain't nobody doing nothing to him. He worth, why? Because he worth triple, double, quadruple as much as P. Diddy is. And he got millionaire and billionaire friends. They're on the stock exchange. Let me see, where was we? Even after pushing Miss Grant out the company and muzzling her with an NDA, McMahon continued efforts to exploit her, including attempting to traffic her to a WWE star and a star who would be in New York for a live event and TV tapings in March 2022. Understandably, defendants' predatory conduct has left Miss Grant crippled both physically and mentally, including with debilitating symptoms of post-traumatic stress disorder and suicidal indentation. These symptoms led to her termination from her subsequent job running her building's operation due to her inability to leave her home for weeks at a time. Despite McMahon's promise of reputational protection, WWE appears to have leaked information that led to the public disclosure of her name by a media blogger who cited a source in WWE with the direct knowledge of the situation, which upon information and belief was an over-intimidation tactic aimed at Ms. Grant. WWE was also attempting to sweep the matter under the rug following media reports that McMahon was involved in hush money payment scandal. WWE released a statement in June 2022 to announce that a special committee of his board of directors was investigating alleged misconduct and appointing Stephanie McMahon as an interim CEO and interim chairman. In this capacity, Ms. McMahon publicly affirmed her commitment to doing everything in her power to help the special committee complete its work and to implement its findings. She also declared the importance of safe and collaborative workplace. Notwithstanding this public statement, the investigation was a scam. In November 22nd, we touted the conclusion of special committee investigation into the misconduct, yet the special committee has never bothered to interview Ms. Grant or request any documents despite Ms. Grant stating she would cooperate. In SEC filings, the company tried to divert attention from McMahon's abuse of women by focusing on the technical issue of hush money was accounted for. In the words of the company, the issue was immaterial accounting errors related to certain payments that Ms. McMahon agreed to make during the period of 2006 through 2022. Emphasis added, through all this trauma, Miss Grant was endured profound suffering and silence, feeling of exploitation, loss of security, and fear of facing the wrath of WWE and McMahon's army of attorneys if she were to come forward and bring the light of the ingenious acts detailed here. That time has passed, and Ms. Grant seeks to hold defendants accountable for their reprehensible and unlawful acts for her own sake and for others. Ms. Grant seeks a declaratory judgment that her NDA is invalid under federal and state laws and assert claims other laws, including the Trafficking Victims Protection Act. Parties are plaintiff Janelle Grant, a Connecticut citizen, is a former employee of WWE, having worked there from 2019 to 2022. Defendant Vincent K. McMahon, Connecticut citizen, co-founded WWE in 1980, served on the board for directors of WWE from 1980 to September 23rd. He is currently the executive chairman, TKO Group Holdings. Now, TKO Group Holdings, that's the company that he formed with the UFC. And WWE Entertainment, Inc., also known as Wrestling Entertainment LLC, is a Delaware limited liability company whose sole management member is TKO Group Holdings, Inc., and Delaware is one of them tax haven states. Okay, John Laurinaitis is another defendant, an Arizona citizen, is the former head of talent relations and general manager at WWE, who, on information and belief, has officially dismissed by the WWE on August 22nd amid allegations of misconduct by women. So once the allegations came out, Johnny Laurinaitis got fired. He was the scapegoat, but they still can't prevent non-party officers, employees of WWE at all times relevant. WWE corporate officer number 2 was a high-ranking employee at WWE who made hiring decisions, conducted positive prospective employee interviews, and maintained significant control over personal decisions. WWE corporate officer number 2 worked in this capacity during Mrs. Grant's employment with WWE. This person is referred to herein as WW corporate officer number 2 at all times relevant. WWE corporate officer number 1 was higher ranking employee and board member at WWE during Mrs. Grant's employee with WWE. WWE court officer number 1 continued to work in high ranking position in connection with the September 12, 23 merger. This individual was referred as WW corporate officer number 1. Those two people gotta be, I think, allegedly Nick Khan and Triple H at this relevant time. Corporate officer number 3 was high-ranking employee and or board member during Mrs. Grant employee, and this individual is referred to as WW corporate officer number 3, which is, we think, allegedly is Mr. McMahon's daughter, Stephanie McMahon. At all times relevant, WWE corporate officer number 4 was a high-ranking employee at WWE, worked with legal affairs at the company, yada, yada, yada. Okay, let's go over the facts again. Miss Grant introduction to McMahon turns into a 2-hour meeting between a potential entry-level employee and a billionaire CEO. Prior to having any involvement with WWE, Mrs. Grant was dealing with profound grief following the loss of her parents, whom she cared for full-time as a sole caretaker. After her family passed away, Miss Grant dedicated herself to finding gainful employment. We read all that, and basically to sum it all up, this is just my opinion. I think this lady seen a rich dude. he started liking her. She took a little advantage. You know, she had to get a little freaky. And once again, like everybody else, once you see you ain't giving the money or you ain't getting the same money, now it's, oh, I want to sue and he did this and he did that. But the moral of this video, you know, I'm new to this, so sometimes I just ramble and sometimes I don't always get straight to the video, but you know, is she serious? Like, is she making up some of this stuff? And I mean, it's not even a lot of stuff because all it says was she was doing sex and he did a number 2 on her and he passed him to her homeboys. But, you know, they throw around that trafficking word lightly. If I fly a girl out, I'm sex trafficking? That's crazy. And like I said, the point of this video was show word for word. This is the same thing in the Lil Rod case. Why this guy's house wasn't raided? Why this guy's kids wasn't in handcuffs? Why this guy's wife ain't in handcuffs? Why every news channel, CNN and Fox and ESPN, why they ain't making headlines and jokes saying no McMahon? Why is it no Diddy? Because Diddy ain't got the money they got. That's what it is, you know. Diddy ain't part of a public traded company. Diddy ain't part of a public traded company. Hold on, let me get this out of here. Why you playing with me and making me do all this? Get rid of you. See, Diddy ain't being sold on the New York Stock Exchange. Look at those logos: TKO, King of Talk, WWE. The sponsorship, UFC. The sponsorship is crazy. Diddy ain't surrounded. Look, his wife, his kids, all billionaires. Brock Lesnar. Diddy ain't got that power. That's basically the whole situation. Diddy ain't got the same power this man got. You know what I'm saying? Diddy ain't sitting on top. Diddy ain't got these friends. Diddy's friends left him. And that's just how life is, man. You get left back. Like I always say, if you're a supporter of my channel, much love and respect. If you're one of them haters, cut the shit. All right.